Imagine a land divided into 7 warring states, each with its own language, currency, and laws. For centuries, China was a battlefield of competing kingdoms. Then came a ruler who would unite them all through sheer force of will and military might. In 221 BCE, King Zheng of Qin accomplished what no ruler had achieved before. He conquered the last remaining state, Qi, and declared himself Qin Shi Huang's first emperor of China. His reign would last only 15 years, but its impact would echo for millennia. The Qin military machine was unlike anything China had seen. They perfected crossbow technology, developed standardized weapons, and created a merit-based military system. But their greatest innovation was psychological warfare. Qin Shi Huang didn't just conquer territory, he sought to conquer minds. He implemented legalist philosophy, which argued that strict laws and harsh punishments were necessary to maintain order. The state came before the individual, always. To enforce unity, the Qin standardized everything: writing, currency, weights and measures, even the axle width of carts. This created efficiency, but also eliminated regional identities. Diversity became dangerous. The most infamous Qin policy was the burning of books in 213 BCE. Historical records from other states were destroyed, along with philosophical texts that challenged legalist doctrine. Only practical manuals on agriculture and medicine were spared. But book burning wasn't enough. The following year, Qin Shi Huang ordered 460 scholars buried alive. Their crime: criticizing the emperor or holding onto forbidden knowledge. This sent a clear message: dissent would not be tolerated. The Great Wall of China began as a Qin project. While earlier walls existed, Qin Shi Huang connected and expanded them, using conscripted labor on an unprecedented scale. Thousands died in its construction. The Emperor's Tomb complex, guarded by the Terracotta Army, reveals his obsession with immortality and control. Each soldier's face is unique, yet they stand in perfect formation, a metaphor for Qin society. Qin administration was ruthlessly efficient. The empire was divided into commanderies and counties, each with overlapping officials to prevent corruption. Paperwork and accountability became weapons of control. Punishments were severe and public. The Qin legal code prescribed mutilation, forced labor, and execution for even minor offenses. Fear kept the population in line more effectively than loyalty ever could. The emperor constantly moved between palaces, paranoid about assassination. He drank mercury, believing it would grant immortality. Instead, it likely contributed to his death at just 49 years old. When Qin Shi Huang died in 210 BCE, the empire began to unravel. His weak successor couldn't maintain control. Peasant revolts erupted, led by men who had experienced Qin brutality firsthand. The Qin dynasty fell in 206 BCE, just 4 years after the first emperor's death. But something remarkable happened next. The succeeding Han dynasty kept most Qin institutions intact. The Han adopted Qin bureaucracy, but softened its edges. They kept standardized writing and measurements, but allowed Confucianism to temper legalist harshness. The Qin framework remained, but the human cost was acknowledged. For the next 2,000 years, Chinese dynasties would follow the Qin blueprint: centralized power, standardized administration, and control of information. The imperial examination system, begun in the Han, continued this merit-based bureaucracy. The Qin created China's first true empire, but at what cost? Millions died in wars, construction projects, and purges. The psychological trauma of this period entered Chinese cultural memory. Modern archaeology reveals both Qin achievements and atrocities. The Terracotta Army shows artistic brilliance, while mass graves near the Great Wall testify to human suffering. Both are part of the legacy. Qin standardization created the foundation for Chinese cultural unity. Today, despite numerous dialects, Chinese people share a common written language that traces back to Qin reforms. The Qin legal code, though harsh, established the principle that law comes from the state, not from tradition or nobility. This concept would shape Chinese governance long after the dynasty fell. Qin Shi Huang's quest for immortality failed, but his quest for permanent control succeeded in unexpected ways. He created systems so effective that even his enemies adopted them. The burning of books created a pattern Chinese rulers would repeat for centuries, controlling history by controlling its recording. Official historians became state employees, shaping narratives to serve power. Yet resistance to Qin methods also became part of Chinese tradition. The scholars who died for their beliefs are remembered as martyrs to intellectual freedom. Their sacrifice wasn't in vain. The Great Wall, begun by Qin, became both a physical and psychological barrier. It represented China's separation from the outside world, a concept that would influence foreign policy for millennia. Qin military organization influenced Chinese warfare for centuries. Their combination of discipline, technology, and psychological operations became the standard for imperial armies. The emperor's paranoia about decentralization created a system where power always flowed to the center. Provincial governors had limited authority, preventing the regionalism that had caused the warring states period. Modern China still bears Qin fingerprints. The emphasis on national unity, standardized systems, and strong central government all have roots in those 15 brutal years. But the Qin legacy is a paradox. Unity achieved through violence, progress built on suffering, order maintained through fear. China gained an empire but lost something of its soul. Historical assessments of Qin Shi Huang have shifted over time. Once universally condemned, some now see him as a necessary unifier. But this rehabilitation risks forgetting the human price. The Terracotta Army continues to emerge from the earth, each discovery reminding us of Qin ambition. These silent soldiers guard not just a tomb, but the beginnings of imperial China. In just 15 years, Qin Shi Huang created systems that would last 2,000 years. His brutality defined Chinese governance for better and worse. The empire he built still shapes China today. The Qin dynasty teaches us that institutions can outlive their creators, that efficiency can come at terrible cost, and that the methods of unification matter as much as the unity itself. Next time on The Oriental Orator, we explore the Han dynasty's response to Qin brutality. How did China's longest dynasty learn from 15 years of terror? Subscribe and hit notification so you don't miss it.